Trekkers in India are making one big mistake. They look at only the Himalayas as a trekking destination and maybe a little bit of the Western Ghats. But they're missing this whole new section of our country which is rich and resplendent with forests and culture and so many other elements. I'm talking about Central India. So today I'm not going to be doing the talking. I have with us Upayan Chatterjee. He's right here with us. So Upayan is the head of documentation and information at Indiahikes, and he has just come back from the Sanjay Dubri Lakes trek and the Patalkot Gorge trek in Madhya Pradesh. And he has trekked a fair bit, okay? So he just went to Dharansi Pass last year. He was a key member in the exploration of the Chandrabhaga Glaciers trek with the Intrek Club. So he has trekked quite a bit, and when he came back he was absolutely stunned by Central Indian treks. So that's what we're going to talk to him about today. Hi Upayan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
So Upayan, you just came back from these two treks in Madhya Pradesh, and when you were there, I think right there you were overflowing with excitement to share about it because it was that beautiful. So tell us, what is it that caught your imagination?
I think what caught my imagination would be that I had not imagined it to be what it was. I think I had gone to Central India, like, we are working with the Madhya Pradesh government and we had an assignment to do. So I went with that angle, I've done Himalayan treks. Let me see what Central India is all about. Let me do my assignment. That is all that I had. I did not expect anything of the trek, but when I actually went and saw the trek, I was like kicking myself that, hey, how come we did not know that something so special was there in our country, and we had not known anything about it for so long. For example, I'll tell you about this Patalkot Gorge trek. In the first day itself, we went into such a deep gorge. There were like huge walls on two sides, Archean rocks, billions of year old of blocks that are lined up, and beautiful forests inside that gorge. And there are the ascents, there are descents. You're camping beside the river, and I think it's very, very different from Himalayan treks. Like Himalayan treks, we go to Himalayan treks for certain things, like we have the mountain views, this, that, and whenever we're trying to gauge a trek, we try to bring that same metrics key. But I think that is where we go wrong with Central Indian treks, that those are not the metrics that apply here. It's a very, very different world, very different genre of rivers, of forests, of wildlife, of people, of culture, and we are interacting it very closely. Like in Himalayan treks, we're still staying in our base camps and we are camping in remote locations. But if you look at a Central Indian trek, on our first day, we are actually staying in the house of someone who is a local there. They have opened up a room of their house, of their mud house, for all of us to come and stay with them. We are seeing what they're cooking, and we were interacting so closely. A lot of these things don't happen when we are so remote and in such remote outdoors in the Himalayas, which has its own charm. But this, a completely different charm. Different metrics apply, but beautiful.
So there is this thought among people. So you just spoke about the Patalkot Gorge trek, but you came back and also said that Central Indian trekking can be a genre on its own. Now that is saying something, because most people are of this mindset that if I've done one trek in Central India, I've seen Central India and whatever it has to offer. So what are your thoughts on that, given that you went back to back on two treks in Madhya Pradesh and you know of our Chhattisgarh and Pench treks? What are your thoughts on that?
I'll tell you something funny. I am that person who thought that you should do one trek in Central India, and that should be it. So I had heard so much about Central Indian treks, I wanted to try something out. You know that I wanted to go for the Chhattisgarh jungle trek, and in my head it was like, let's do one Central Indian trek. Let's see what this is all about. And okay, that's it. We'll go back to the Himalayas. And then I saw Patalkot, and then I saw that, okay, now I know Central Indian trekking. And then 2 days after that, I went to Sanjay Dubri, and I was like, oh, how come I've traveled maybe hardly 6-7 hours and I'm in a completely different world. In Patalkot, I was walking in a gorge through rivers and all of that. And then I was in the Sanjay Dubri Tiger Reserve, in a village right at the fringes of the Tiger Reserve, hearing so many stories of tigers, wildlife, and next day going and camping beside huge lakes inside the Tiger Reserve, huge sal forests. Like wherever you look, there are like this tall sals where you don't see the top of them. And in Patalkot, we are seeing different kinds of trees. We are seeing sanj, there's that, wild figs, all of that. Then you come to Sanjay Dubri Tiger Reserve and it's full of huge sal trees. In Patalkot, you're camping beside rivers, beautiful streams. In Sanjay Dubri, you come and you're camping beside huge lakes. And huge, matlab, they're so huge that you can't really see from one end to the other, and you're camping right at their edge. At night, you're hearing the sounds, the wildlife, you're seeing birds. We are seeing so many different types of hornbills in central India, right? I knew there are hornbills around, but you do not know. Like, one of my most favorite memories is seeing the hornbills in the forest. Like, the entire forest is silent, there is no sound, and you suddenly hear the sound of hornbills flying through, the sound of their wings. And I had never imagined, but when I experienced it, it was so beautiful. And I was like telling myself the same thing, that I did not know anything about the region, and I was so wrong to think that I could do one trek and okay, that would be it. I think in central India we have so many different forests. In fact, on our Sanjay Dubri Lakes trek, we had one of our trekkers who was actually doing a whole safari trip of central India. Like, he was going from Panna Tiger Reserve to Naradehi, then he was coming to Satpura. So I asked him that, why are you going to so many different tiger reserves? Tiger reserves will do safari and come. So he's a naturalist himself, so he has done training. So then he was explaining that central India is such a special place because in one state he is doing so many safaris, and every forest has its own characters. Like, Panna has its own plateaus and grasslands. Naradehi has its huge lakes and grassland combination. He had come to Sanjay Dubri to see the sal forest. It's a very special place where it's almost 80-90% of true sal forest. And then that is when my eyes also opened, that if that is something you can experience in a 1 or 2 hour safari, if you're trekking through those forests, camping in them, spending whole days, and so there's such a big world to explore, right?
That's true.
So there are many different worlds in that one central Indian landscape. We have seen that even in Chhattisgarh, in Paints, the 2 treks that we run, we know that the temperatures are vastly different. The season that works here does not work perfectly there, because they are living, breathing entities. They are not the same. They are 2 living, breathing entities, and that is what I mean when I say about genre, because central India is a place where we can have a whole offering of treks like how we have in the Himalayas. If you have done Himalayan treks, you won't say that Kuari Pass and the Brahmatala are similar. Even though both Brahmatala has a lake, Kuari Pass has a lake, this has Trishul that has mountain views, but would you say they are similar? Nobody in their sane minds would say that. It's same for central India. It is so varied, so unique that you could have a whole offering of treks and all of them would offer something that the other won't. It's just waiting to be explored.
You were talking about this trekker going to safaris. So that brings me to the safari question. Many people do safaris in central India. So how does safari compare with trekking on your own 2 feet in these forests?
I'll tell you something. I have been someone who has done a lot of safaris. Like, even before I got into this trekking world, my introduction to outdoors was safaris. I've been in central Indian forests in western India, famous for seeing tigers and all. I have done a lot of safaris. Safari has a thrill to it, like, you are in the forest for those 2 hours, you're in a jeep and you're trying to track tigers, and it has a thrill to it. At least for me, it was like that. I would look forward to it. But every time I would go on a safari, I would see forest guards who are walking in those forests, and they're nonchalant. Tiger would not do anything to us. Tigers are not like that, and they're walking those forests day in, day out. And sometimes I talk about like all the wildlife they would see doing that. They would spend nights in the forest, and I would read books. I would read Jim Corbett's books, Valmiki Kappa's book. They're talking about a time when these laws had not come into the forest. Forests were open. They were spending nights in the forest. I would imagine that how would it be to do that, and I never knew that such an experience would exist in our country. It did not exist. So I made peace with that. It will not happen. Then when I think even before I joined, we saw Indiahikes start the Paints Tiger Trail, and immediately I went back to that. Okay, this is something I've been dreaming about. It can really happen. And then came the time when I was actually able to go and experience it. I'll tell you, like, safari has its thrill, but the feeling when you're walking through them, you are seeing those pug marks, you are seeing the pug mark of tigers, leopards, wild boars, bear, and it's your footprints beside them. That is an
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
feeling to explain. And this happened on our Sanjay Dubri Lakes trek, that we were walking along a nala called the Khatola Nala, and we were seeing the Baiga tribes coming back from the forest with their things that harvested out of the forest, wood, firewood, and a lot of those things. And there we had our little Nalin. So he was actually showing us that where they walked by, there were like footprints of cattle. Cattle had gone that way. On top of it, there were leopard footprints, tiger footprints, bear footprints, and we were walking on them. So what it told me that in India, we have a very feeling that wildlife is very far from us and we are very separated. All of that notions are so challenged so deeply when you are trekking in central India, and you would see like how closely we actually coexist. And you will never get that in a safari tourism, because when you're going on safari, you're staying somewhere outside the forest in a hotel. You are in the forest for that 1.5 2 hours of the safari. You are in a car and you're coming back. Yes, sightings are better. If you're going for sightings, you want to chase that. Of course, safari is a great thing to do. It has its own thrill and its place in the world. But if that is not what you're after, you are wanting to experience forest in its truest form, walking through it, and you enjoy the forest and wildlife in the elusive nature that they want to be, because wildlife is elusive. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to interfere with you. But you know they're around. They would leave their signs, their scratch marks, their pug marks, all of that strewn about, and you are walking in their world. You are feeling them, maybe not seeing them. And sometimes it also happened even in Sanjay Dubri, the last campsite where we were. There actually a bear had come into very close to the campsite, and we heard its sound and all that. You would not see them, but every moment on the trek you would feel them. You would spend nights in the forest. We had forest guards who had walked those forests for years tell us that they also never camped in the forest like that, but they told that they are taking so much back from that trek. I can understand what it means for someone like us for someone like me who has dreamt of such things and I did not know such experiences could exist. But then now that we have started trekking in Central India, all these experiences have opened up. So I think it's a much more immersive way. If I have to sum it up, it's a much more immersive way. You get much closer to the forest when you are trekking.
I think the objectives of a safari and trekking in the forest are very different also. So here I want to ask you, there are lots of naysayers I'm seeing for trekking in Central India. Like even recently I was seeing a comment saying, Central India, what's the big deal? The Himalayas are everything. So what is your message to them who think that the Himalayas are everything and the Himalayas are the mainstream place for trekking?
Right. So Swathi ma'am, I think I won't blame them. I wouldn't blame them because in India, trekking itself is in a very nascent stage. If you go back 20 years back in time, I keep listening to Arjun sir's stories and their ma'am stories, and they share that they have done a trek in the Himalayas and they're going back to the Himalayas. Everyone would ask, "You went to the Himalayas last year? No, why are you going back to the Himalayas?" Because then for us, it was like Himalayas. We have gone there once, that's done. No one imagined that the same Himalayas had so much to offer. I think it's the same for Central India. Now we have understood the Himalayan trekking a little bit, and now we're again in that shell where we think that we know everything of what India has to offer in terms of trekking. I think one day I was looking at this website called Mark Trails, and I was looking at how the world is documenting treks, and I saw that in Europe you wouldn't find an inch where there is no trekking trail. I was looking at India, there are a few trails like that in the north. Entire country is khali. So if we feel that is all we have explored, all that India has to offer in terms of trekking, then we are living in a very small world. We are refusing to see all the promise that our country has. Central India, so much variety is there, but it's a very new thing. People don't know about it. I won't blame them because that is how is our understanding of trekking today. But what I believe from the heart that it will grow. We know that we have 2 treks now. We had started with 1 trek. We have 2 treks. Those 2 treks initially had few trekkers. Now we see their seasons are growing. More people are coming, and I'm very, very hopeful that this word of mouth will eventually bring more people to Central India, and we'll have a day when we'll have 7, 8, 9, 10 different treks in Central India, and people would not ask that question at what is the big deal about Central India. They would see it as the Himalayas. And you can do 20 treks in Himalayas, you can do 10 in Central India, and they would all have the rewards. So I believe that will be the case.
So we have opened up 2 treks, that is a Chhattisgarh Jungle Trek and the Pench Tiger Trail. But we have this MOU with MP with Madhya Pradesh Tourism to kind of explore more, document more trails over there, and 3 out of those we have done right now. From your heart, what are you hoping for in Central India for the near future?
Yeah, I think this MOU with Madhya Pradesh, this is like a very, very welcome thing because it is giving us it's basically giving us a clean canvas to paint on. Like that's a big thing to have, like for a government to tell that, okay, you come to a state, here's a state laid out, you define your trails on it. I think it's a big responsibility, but it's a big privilege as well because we are able to see these regions, our trek leaders and all the team involved in bringing this treks out for the world. They are able to see places in a way and in a lens that the world has not seen the place. So if it's my heart's wish that whatever we feel we are getting to see, we are able to share that with a large number of trekkers, because I think that opens a whole new world of trekking for them, because these are not as demanding as Himalayan treks. Children come, families can come, seniors. We have run our own. We have taken our parents to Central India, right?
Yeah.
As long as we had only Himalayan treks, we had to
We couldn't.
10 times that. How will we take our parents on trek? Maybe we could take them to base camps and that was it. But once we found Central India, we could take our own parents. They could see what we were doing, the experience, the beauty that the world of outdoors had to give. And I just feel that once this becomes a genre and people take to it and this becomes normalized in our country, it just opens up a whole new door, whole new world of trekking in our country. And that is what I wish from my heart that happens.
Thank you. I think that is a very nice way of moving towards thought that everyone must trek, because it becomes accessible to so many more people. So thank you so much, Upayan, for throwing light on trekking in Central India. I know this is a tiny conversation, but it's a start, and I'm also hoping that Central Indian trekking grows. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Swathi ma'am.
So that was Upayan talking to us about trekking in Central India and how that can be a genre of its own. And we completely believe that that is the way to grow trekking in our country. But there are lots of people who begin to think that, these are very reserved forests, very protected forests. Should people even be going there because it's going to be ruined? But we have a very different take on that, which we will come back with in our next video, where we talk about how trekking is actually a very helpful thing for forests in our country. I will have Upayan back for that conversation, but we'll be back with that later. That's all from us today. Thank you for watching. I'm Swathi from Indiahikes, and you're watching Trek with Swathi.